Hey guys, and welcome to my very first podcast of the Bucks coverage, where I cover the Milwaukee Bucks and their inconsistencies as early on in the season, and as the trade deadline, and I'll talk about that and what I think the team should target, and where I think they can improve, as well as where I see them at a standpoint right now. So without further ado, let's kick this off by let's talking about the inconsistencies of the team, where I think that they're really lacking. This team this year, they're 22-19. They're coming off a very tough loss to the Golden State Warriors, who are the best team in the NBA by far or by opinion. In my opinion, I think they're the best team in the NBA. Not only because I'm a fan of the Warriors, but also the fact that they have a really good rotation. I believe they have one of the best second units in the league, and that's very important. Something that the Bucks are lacking. I mean, when you throw out Malcolm Brogdon out there when he starts the games and stuff, he plays pretty well. But he's still that rotation player. He still needs to take a step forward. And same with Thon Maker. Everyone thought that he was going to be the next big project that we had, and he's starting to come around on his own too. And thanks to his valuable minutes that he played in the postseason last year, in which the Bucks lost in 7 games to the Toronto Raptors. Thon Maker really played a very up-tempo kind of basketball game. I really like the fact that he's mentally tough. He's ready to go out there and give it all he can, and he can get you some valuable minutes and can score. Probably right now he's averaging probably 5 points a game. But that's not bad. I believe that he has the utmost ability to become a star in this league. It's just a matter of the improvement that he takes. He needs to work a lot with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And get better, Antetokounmpo got better by finding Dirk Nowitzki and his training coach and working with him in the off seasons to improve his game. He's got to have that mentality and that go-getter type of attitude to be able to succeed in this league. Then you have Tony Snell. He was projected to be our starting shooting guard, or one of the other starting shooting guards, but our small forwards to say. But turns out that he's going to be coming off the bench. This is a guy that we gave a 4-year contract to for what I think about $40 million, something like that, give or take. I'm not sure exactly the numbers, but regardless, we gave him a lot of money in the offseason to come back after his great season he had. And on a side note, that's something you see a lot in the NBA with players, is teams trade for a player that's fighting for a contract or a spot on the roster. They're not given a guarantee to return next year or being re-signed for that matter. So they played above the potential or play better than they would probably play if they had a bigger contract. For Tony Snell, I really like the guy. He's a guy that we traded for MCW, Mark Carter Williams, if you don't remember him. This is a guy that everyone thought would be a number one player in the league, thought he would be the star of the league or whatever, but he turned out to be a bust. He didn't really work with the Milwaukee Bucks, and when John Hammond traded for him, I was kind of disgusted. I was like, why would you trade for somebody like him from 76ers, and especially when you give up somebody like Brandon Knight for him? I'm sorry, not Brandon Knight, but actually I don't even remember who we traded for him, but it was stupid who we traded for him, because he turned out to be nothing but a bust. And back to Tony Snell and how I think he is an up-and-coming player. He needs to improve on his three-point shooting and his perimeter defense. And I believe he can work on those things and improve them little by little every year. I think this guy's got a solid future in the NBA. I mean, he is a bright young stud player in this league, and I mean, I really think he's a good player. He's trying to find his groove, you know. After not being a starter anymore, he's trying to figure out how he can help this team while coming off the bench with the second unit. Not that, other than Tony Snell, you have people like John Henson, who, I mean, we have to start him because he's the only center we have, really. You know, there's nobody else we can fit in there in the center. And I'm really impressed with John Henson. You know, he had a lot of potential, and he's starting to show it this year. And I believe he'll will be the most improved player. Not only do I think that, but I was watching Fox Sports Wisconsin, and I was watching the Bucks play the Warriors on NBC, the Bay Area, and they were even saying, their announcers were saying that he could follow Giannis Antetokounmpo as the most improved player. You know, there's nothing that says he can't. You know, he's got that hook shot that's really deadly. Kind of reminds me of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that played for the Bucks back in the 70s. And I think he's getting to his potential. He's starting to show it, and that's because he's getting more minutes. He knows that, hey, I got paid 4 years, $45 million, give or take, and I need to prove to this organization that, hey, I'm not a bust. We didn't waste money on you, you know. And so far, he's playing pretty good. He's averaging around a double-double, which is phenomenal for somebody that wasn't even playing that much. They're probably playing garbage minutes last year, you know. And he's really doing well. But with that being said, the Bucks still need a little bit more help. I mean, yes, their second unit consists of Tony Snell, Malcolm Brogdon, John Henson sometimes, but they need more help in the interior. At the 4 and 5. You know, when Jabari Parker returns, I mean, it even says on Sporting News that he's expected to return before the All-Star break. And now that would be very huge for the Bucks. For somebody that has dealt with 3 consecutive ACL injuries, something in the lines of what Derrick Rose had to deal with, you know. It's not easy, you know, but I believe that Jabari Parker is going to come back stronger because, like last year, when he went out with the ACL injury in November, the same time he tore it the first time, he was averaging 20 points a game. And now that's a huge, those are some huge numbers, you know. And when we get him back, you're talking about having a guy that can average 20 points a game, a point guard in Eric Bledsoe who's averaging around 17 a game, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's averaging around 27, 28 points a game. And that's incredible. You have 3 players that can average that many points a game. Or Chris Middleton as well. He's averaging about almost 20 points a game too. You know, you'll have 4 players who can average around 20 points a game. That's huge. But you're still lacking that 5 player. You're still lacking that center. As you can see, if you've seen in previous games, the Bucks are just not able to guard the paint or the rim. You know, not able to get those rebounds and stuff that they need. They're like dead last in rebounds per game, and that's because they don't have that center to go crash the boards to get the rebounds. So teams are easily scoring in the paint on us. I mean, we're getting outscored by like 30, 40 points a game in the paint. And that's not acceptable. And to make it in this league, or to be a decent team or move up, you have to be able to guard the paint, and you have to be able to score in the paint. And if you don't have a player who you can pass the ball in the paint and they can score, attack the basket, then you're going to have a lot of problems. It doesn't matter if you have a star power forward or you have a good shooting guard. You have to have that interior player, that number 5, that center, who can do the dirty work inside the paint for you. And that's something the Bucks need to improve on. Another thing that I see with this team is their terrible three-point shooting. You know, I'm a diehard Bucks fan, so I'm not trying to sound like I hate the team, but this is something I also see that they need to improve on. I mean, look at Chris Middleton. He is shooting 30% from the 3-point line. He was shooting about 44% last year, give or take. That's a huge drop. That's a huge drop in 3-point percentage. That's a 12% drop, give or take. But then again, he's still being effective in shooting. I mean, yeah, his numbers went down a bit, but he's still scoring. He's finding other ways to compensate for his down 3-point shooting this year. But that is something that has to improve, whether it's before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break. And the only way for that to happen is if they start creating more space for him and they get that number 5, that big player, that big in there to compensate for that. Because then a lot of focus to be on that center player that they would fill into that hole. Then also like I said, when they bring back to Jabari Parker back, I was reading an article and they were saying that it might help the Bucks if Giannis would try to play the center position. I think he's pretty capable. He's played point forward, which is something that's new having in this league, and he did pretty well at it. But I think if you move him to center, I mean, it would stop him from having to shoot them threes. He'd still be able to hit that mid-range. He'd still be effective because he's pretty much a center at the size he is, And I think that really helped because then you can push Jabari out. You can keep Jabari Parker at the 4 and maybe still pick up a center, and you'd be good. Then, according to SB Nation, it's talking about why the Bucks haven't arrived yet, and 5 more things from Friday night. And Friday night they played the Warriors, and if you tuned in to watch the Bucks and the Warriors, you noticed that they were getting outscored in the first quarter, which is a common thing they've been doing all years. They've been getting outscored badly in the first quarter. Look back to the Indiana Pacers game where they got devastated. Like they just fell behind. Like they had the lead at the beginning of the game. Beginning of the game in the first quarter, but then they lost it. That's something that they need to work on. Is they need to come out strong in the first quarter and stop letting teams run them over. Because in the NBA, if you get behind by like 10, 15 points, that carries the tone for the rest of the game. Everyone's gonna get frustrated. You're gonna try to do things that you don't normally do, like in the Indiana Pacers game, such the Warrior game. Antetokounmpo had some 3 fouls early on. So did Middleton. They were in foul trouble. And that's just not okay. They need to come out stronger. You've seen games where they come out strong and against teams, granted, that they should beat anyways. But they need to play more effective against teams that are the best in the league, like in the East and the West with the Warriors and the Rockets, and in the East with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, who they just own us, That's our new rival according to me, and probably a lot of other people are going to agree with me. That's a team that I want to see play again in the postseason. I want to see us play them again. I think we have potential to beat the Toronto Raptors, and we need to prove that we can beat them. Because you had the chance to win that series last year, and you got cocky after winning that game big time, but you lost 2 games after that. You were up 3-1, and you lost. Or, I'm sorry, you were up 3-2, and you lost the series. That's just a statement of how young this team is and how inconsistent they are. If they were consistent and they were more experienced, you wouldn't see that happen. Look at the Warriors. When they decided to fire their head coach and sign Steve Kerr, look how much they improved. And I think that's kind of what the Bucks need to do. You look at Jason Kidd; he's a great coach, but I don't think he has what it takes to coach this team. Granted, he has a winning record and everything. But we need a coach that's going to get more out of our players and is going to take us over the top. And that's why they should follow the Warriors model and hiring a coach that will take us over the top.